Welcome to Country Kickback, where you'll hear the latest music from performers you already know and discover new music and artists from around the world. If you have an artist you'd like us to chat with, reach out to the team at countrykickback.com, or you can watch our live videos and more by following us on social media and YouTube. Here is your host, Danny Shaw, with the latest from Country Kickback.
Hello, we're back. Everybody's been watching us and staying with us, so thank you. Got Marcello with us from Via Music Group. It's a little bit different. I know a lot of you have been messaging me asking about information from behind the scenes, and we've had a lot of conversations with artists about that this week and how it's a whole heap of people that get them to Tamworth and get the songs out. It's not just one. So I thought we could have a bit of a chat to you as from background of management, and you've done right through management to booking artists to doing it all. So you're a really good person to get an insight around that.
Right.
When you started in the music industry, I know you've been in it for so long. What are some of the things behind the scenes that people don't understand and don't know to get people out on a stage or releasing their music? Tell us a bit about what it's like for you on the other side.
Right. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me on, Danny.
I'm so glad. I didn't know if you'd say yes.
That's
I thought
right.
It's such a big thing. I'm hoping you'd say yes.
Yeah. Well, look, where do I start? I mean, look, Via was created 15 years ago, but I've actually been doing management on different industries and athletes and whatnot beforehand.
Yeah.
And it's all has kind of like the same basics. So I'm going to try to kind of really break it down. You know, a lot of artists, and it's not a fault. That's just the way that it's kind of focused on is the music. It's always the music. It's like I've got the songs, I've got this producer and whatnot. And then I always say to them, well, the amount of energy and effort and resources you put towards the music, you need to put that in the business side.
Yes.
So the insight behind it all is like, you know, when I first started, it was like, okay, we're going to have a gap to bridge. So we need to try to get you some gigs. We need to get some radio interviews and kind of publicists, do some PR ourselves.
And even that's hard, isn't it? Getting interviews sometimes.
Yeah, it's
a lot of work.
Of course, and you know, as a manager, you know, there's a lot of expectations to like, you know, prop the artist up. But at the actual fact is, you know, and it's a team mentality. So I mean, a lot of managers work differently. How I work is I work in unison with the artists. It's like just another entity in the business, right? And if you think about corporations, you know, you start off with a general manager, then you have like sub managers, and then you have the workers, right? So I'm just another worker in that team. Obviously, as you know, the artist and the manager kind of at the top there, they make the strategic decisions and whatnot. But look, you know, like the best advice I can give to anyone is to start with a strategy and a plan. Really.
And that's a really important part. And that's one of the first things that you do with an artist is that you'll sit down and go, well, what's your aim? What do you want to do? What do you want to be? And let's make a plan to start bringing that in.
Absolutely.
And we keep telling, you know, people that there's so much behind the scenes with releasing of music and as you were just saying, booking of interviews, all that sort of thing. You have to build a rapport with people in the industry to make that happen. And that's what you've been working towards for a long time. It's a lot of building to get there. Have you some of the things that you've found hard and things like obviously you do your strategies? Have you've found a lot of paths around things as they've come up, but when you get an artist, how do you explain that to them? Like, this is a path we're going to try. If this doesn't work, we can deviate around it. How do you get those through to people that don't really understand the industry from the beginning?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one. Like normally, I start when I start. I have a couple of scenarios, but I have a lot of artists that come to me, right? And they say, "Oh, look, if we sign with you, can you get me a booking agent?" Yeah. It's like, okay, then I flip the question. I say, well, if you have to put a gig on in 4 weeks' time at a 150 cap venue, can you get 100 tickets?
That's right, yeah.
And they go, we'll buy 30 or 40. Well, let's start there.
Yeah.
Well, look, when I start to engage with an artist and I feel like I want to work with them, first of all, the music has to be there. For me, that's the door opener, right?
It has to be quality.
And I'm going to drop a lot of analogies because I think that's the easiest way to explain things.
Yes,
so,
100%.
your music gets you a foot in the door.
Yep.
Your business gets you a seat at the table.
Yes.
That's 100%. So it's all right to have a great album, great songs and whatnot, but if you turn up to a record label with, like, pardon my French, your shit not sorted,
Yep.
you're not going to get a deal. They'll probably wait and see if you get your thing sorted, but labels don't really, they do develop, but they don't really develop. That's where the manager comes in.
Yes.
My opinion, my 5 cents worth, though. Hopefully I haven't offended any record labels out there. But going back to how I engage with an artist, so I usually have 3 slides. And the first slide is, this is what a manager will do for you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Planning, strategy, represent you, try to find the deals, go and look at talent buyers like record labels, publishers, booking agents, sync and licensing and whatnot. And then I have another presentation, another slide that says, this is what an artist manager can do for you, but might ask you to pay for it.
Yes.
And that is tour management, build your website, manage your social media, build your video clips, build websites. I've done it all in the past. And then I have the third slide, which is, this is what an artist manager will not do for you. Will not give you financial advice, will not give you legal advice, and will not give you, obviously, personal advice, right?
Absolutely.
Now, in saying that,
In
saying that, I feel responsible in a really big way for an artist's mental health.
Yeah,
I think that's
100%.
the biggest strength that I have is, one of the biggest strengths is to really break things down and make things simple to understand.
Yeah.
And sometimes the biggest gains we make are when the artist when go, I'm really finding it hard to get my head around what's going on. I don't know what I should do, and then we just sit down for an hour or two and just work it out. And it's just talking.
It is, and that's the thing. Like, as you said, like, you don't give personal advice, but in a way, but you're listening, and sometimes that's you're listening to them, and you become so close to them, even on that personal side, because they become your family.
Yeah.
And I think with you watching you work with artists, you're not just partly in. It's not just business. You are fully in. That artist is your priority.
Yeah.
You're going to do everything you can, but it is a daily thing, isn't it, for you?
Yeah.
It's part of who you are, not just your business.
And also on the mental side of the artist manager as well. See, in the beginning, I got really cut when an artist wanted to walk away, and I really felt myself, like, what have I done wrong? And I'm not afraid to say it. I've been to therapists for many times, and I'd have these anxiety attacks, just like artists have with depression. The same thing. It's a very lonely business.
It is,
The artist management. And my shrink turned around and said to me, goes, you're really not building a business, because you're building a family.
You are.
And it's like, because of that personal connection with the artist. Now, going back to the personal advice, what I meant to say is, like, if an artist, has mental issues, depression and whatnot, I obviously work with them to go and find a professional.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I'm a team builder. Like, if we need to go and get gigs, I'll try to do the best I can.
Exactly.
But my aim is to get you a booking agent. If we need to find funding to record an album or an EP or a single, my job is to find someone that's going to have that funding.
And suit that person.
Right? Exactly. Either a booking, either a record label, or a DSP with label services, or an investor. So that's my role as an artist manager, I believe, and everyone's different, is that I go and find the team. I'm trying to build a team with, like, the unicorns of this world, like the Keith Urbans, all of those that Justin Bieber's and all that. They're unicorns, and they've got their team sorted, right? But
100%.
if you step behind that, I always talk about the 5 levels of artist development, and it's like, I've decided to become an artist, so I'm writing songs and going to do an open mic. Then second stage is like, I'm doing some gigs, getting paid a few bucks, not really in the black yet. The third one is, I'm doing some stuff locally and I'm making some money, a couple of $100 here and there, I'm getting some fans. The fourth stage is like national and international, right? Maybe interstate for Australia, because I'm based in Europe. Like, jumping over to Germany and Poland is quite easy, but it's the same. It's actually closer than going from Sydney to Perth.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So if you think about it from that point, say Australasia.
Yes.
And then stage 5 is unicorns, right? And each stage requires different stakeholders, right? It's people invested in your business, right? And it's hard, like one of my, I'm an old school rocker, and into the shredding guitar players. And Steve Vai, if you don't know who he is, an amazing guitar player. He said, you know what, you focus on your strengths and you outsource your weaknesses.
Yeah, that's a really, really good way to put it.
That's the best advice I can give you, and it's hard.
I love that.
And anyone you're going to outsource to has to be unconditional trust.
Yes.
And transparent.
And that's right. And I think that's really important in this industry, the transparency within your team, because you have to know that there's nothing wrong with saying that person doesn't fit in that team, because they could fit in another team.
Exactly.
And it's just finding the people that suit that group, for that artist and that family. And I think for artists looking for a manager, what would you say for people to really, for an artist coming and going, I'm ready to get a manager, how do I find one, or what should I be looking for in a person to go, yeah, that's a good fit for me? Do you have any advice for that sort of side?
Okay, yeah, look, the decision you have to make, if you think about those 3 slides that I talk about, like, don't think of an artist manager, think of artist manager as your strategic planner, as a client to yourself, as the invisible client, right? So when I go and represent, say, someone like Jamie Lindsay, I make sure that I have Jamie Lindsay values in my head.
You're thinking of that,
Thinking of that. And every single artist, I've got hip hop, I've got pop, I've got blues, country, rock, surf, indie, the whole bit. So the thing is, and then there's personality. So my advice is kind of the same. I give advice when an artist goes and wants to work with a producer. Make sure that person gets you.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
Make sure that person gets you. Do your due diligence.
Yep.
Don't expect them to work for free.
No. Oh gosh, exactly.
You got no idea. Like, it's like the same as you're doing it for exposure gig, right?
You hear that so often, don't you?
Yeah, I know, all the time. So the thing is, like, and just talk to them.
Yeah.
You know, I have this honeymoon period. I call it the 6-month honeymoon period, and I work very differently than a lot of other managers. So I have my own way to doing it. But
I think with you two, though, compared to other managers, that honeymoon period, they don't do that, and like, it gives you a form, because you might not feel like that artist works with you.
Absolutely.
You've got that ability for an artist's point of view, like they don't feel trapped, and they can say, look, this isn't working, can we try this? Or, no, look, we're not working, this isn't, and that's okay, but it gives you the ability to do that as well.
Absolutely, and it's a two-way street. Like, I know that artists is like, and I get it, and it's the syndrome that they have. It's the way that they think. Absolutely. And it's the way the industry. It's actually the way that the fake industry pushes them.
Yes.
Right. And another advice is to try not to look left and right at other artists, what they're doing.
Everyone's different.
Everyone's on a different journey. You don't know what's going on. You don't know the reality of it.
Exactly.
Like, I see it all the time. This artist got this and they got that, and their songs aren't that good, and I don't see them doing that well. And it's like, well, you don't know who's behind in that
That's
team.
Right. That's
you don't know what their strategy is. Mm-hmm. They might be doing this and now, and
exactly right. And it's such a big industry that there's actually a place for every artist and every type. And you don't have to worry just because they're getting those gigs or they're doing that. Doesn't mean that you can't do that or something. But there's so much on.
Yeah.
There's never too many of us. We all fit in our little spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the biggest advice I can give anyone is just trust your gut.
Absolutely.
Like, if you don't like the person you work with, because that person's going to ring you or email you or message you every day.
It's not going to work. Yeah.
Like, and be honest about it. Like, an artist, like, the times that I've been dropped or fired, it's been where, like, and I've gotten, like, upset, I don't know what's going on. It's because there's been no communication. There's been no honesty. It's like, just be honest. If you think you're moving from me to someone else because your career is going to be better and you think it'll be better, just say it.
But I think a lot of it, I think you're right, 100%. And
that's hard to do, right?
Communication, 100%, but it's being open and communication. If you don't feel like you can be honest with them, how can you work with them?
Yeah, it's funny. It's a funny thing for me that, it's a funny thing for me because, like, I think, like, the most honest an artist can be is when they're up on stage. Yeah. Like, I was a C-grade musician in a crappy cover band, and every time I got up there, it was like I was playing bass and I was having butterflies. And it's so honest and it's so open, and you're just so vulnerable.
Yes.
And, like, to not say that to you, like who's to be your best mate in business, right?
Yes.
Like, that's what's happened. Your manager has to be your best mate.
100%, and have your interest in places.
Well, my best mate manager just turned up, Jamie Lindsay.
Jamie's just turned up. He's our next show. But it is just, I think you're right, and I think that's why I like watching you and your team, because you do it with that open communication, and I've seen it not being communicated, and I've seen it with people that don't have the interest of that artist, it's about the dollar that they're coming in. You see managers that are charging top dollar for artists that are earning nothing. Your managers have got all this money and the artist is going nowhere because they don't have their interest in place.
Yeah.
And that's where I think working with your artists, you always tell them what you expect. And they always say, well, this is is where we're trying to get to that. You don't go in and lead them blindly. You are completely open from the very beginning.
And one of the dirty words in the industry I hate a lot is the industry standard. Right? That's another one.
It's just like that exposure thing, isn't it?
There is no
exactly
standard.
The same.
Yes. You know, like, is there a standard in writing songs? There's not.
It's not. That's right.
Not. You know, like,
there's no. There's no set thing of what you do is right or wrong. It's your art. And it's about, it's about the team that we're building. And that's why I wanted to get you on today, because it's just nice to have that insight. And how are you going over here from the cold weather to the boiling hot?
Well, I'm doing a little bit better than my partner. She came here about 2 days ago. Well, I've been acclimatized for 3 weeks, but Jamie, Lindsay and I were here last weekend. And we were just walking around going, damn, this is hot. And I'm pretty sure everyone's sick of hearing it, but
it's so hot.
I left -22 to get here at 36. And that temperature difference gets you.
Yeah.
I could be here a month, I don't think I'd be acclimatized. But look, honestly, I've loved this festival. I it's so good. I go to festivals all around the world. I do all the major showcase festivals, conferences. I mentor them. I have my own panels and my own workshops there. This is my top 5. The vibe is great. We had a great time the other night at the Toyota Park with Jane Denham. Everyone was so nice and friendly, and it's just shoulders go down. I don't put my chest out. I put my guard up. It's just like,
it's so nice here. It is a good fun.
I love it.
It's a very welcoming industry.
I hope it continues well. I took a big hit through COVID, and it's looking good and it's building up, but we'll be back.
Definitely. I'm very glad to hear that. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And guys, we will be back. We've got Jamie Lindsay here. Ella's just walked in. We've got so much coming to you today. So stay put. We'll be back. And I know that a lot of you guys are watching after the show. So the messages that you're sending, I'm still getting them. So thank you so much for your support. We'll see you all in a few minutes.
Thank you for listening. We hope you've enjoyed today's program. See you next time with the latest with Country Kickback.